What's up, everybody? It's Sid and Millie back with another random topic. Um, what are we talking about this time, Millie?
I'm just kidding. I'm about to do a big wind up and catch you off guard again.
No.
Nah, today we're just going to be talking about F1. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a break in the season, a break, so to speak. And yeah, now Formula One is back. It's race weekend in Miami, US race weekend. So, pretty exciting time. Yeah, just gonna be chatting a little bit about what we're expecting to see this weekend, and yeah, that's kind of
Thoughts
just kind of
generally.
yeah, just general
Yeah.
general thoughts. Yeah, throw it up broadly. So practice one is starting here in a couple hours, like 2.5 hours from now, and it is a sprint race weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that will be what, tomorrow, the sprint?
Let me see. Yeah, the sprint will be on the second. So yeah,
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, good shout. So yeah, literally, basically, it's like today straight into it. Wow, there's so much noise coming from outside. But today straight into it with practice one, and then they'll come back a little bit later on in the day to do sprint qualifying, and then yeah, straight into the
sprint
weekend.
tomorrow.
So I will say, like, I have been critical of sprint race weekends previously, but I
How
will.
come?
I guess just because of like the sprint race format, just because it's so short,
Okay.
and I guess especially last season, there was so little action because the McLarens were just so far out
Oh,
front. So,
yeah, that was so annoying.
so what we've seen already this season so far, because there's only been one sprint so far this season, it was pretty entertaining. It was an entertaining race, and the weekend definitely moves along a lot faster with events because of a sprint race.
That's
So, like, obviously, typically you'd have practice two and practice three, like kind of building into
Yeah.
qualifying.
Wow, but it's actually just one practice.
Yes,
The
it's just
sprint
straight into
qualifying,
it.
the sprint, and then the race qualifying, and then the race.
Yeah,
That's kind
yeah.
of crazy, actually. Not
Yeah,
even an
so
extra practice in
basically
there.
it's like practice one, it's all or nothing. Like everybody has to get familiar with the track. Obviously, like Lewis was talking about, they spend a ton of time on like the simulator, a ton of time in
Okay.
testing during the time off, whatever. And so, yeah, essentially they're going to have to really maximize this time in practice one to make sure they are ready to go for the paces later on in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay, that
Yeah,
will be
yeah.
really interesting. I'm excited to watch and see how like that goes with
Yeah.
that timing and pacing of everything.
Yeah, me too.
But I do have a general question
Okay.
about F1. Obviously,
sure.
this year, well, maybe not obviously, but this year they kind of switched the engines of the cars,
Yeah,
so they're
the
kind of half
regulations.
battery, half gas.
Yeah.
So what have you been kind of thinking about that in the races that we've seen so far?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of mixed opinions on it. I guess for myself, like, I guess I'm a bit torn. I guess it's maybe a little bit too early to call it. I think to some degree I can see what the racers are speaking about in terms of it being like artificial passing, where essentially like you're accelerating and then you accelerate until you run out of battery power, and then you run out of battery power and the next person passes you back because they've had time to charge their battery. So that's why the racers are feeling like it's a bit artificial
Got it.
in that sense. However, what I will say is that the cars are much more compact. They're sleeker this year.
Okay.
And so we've definitely seen more intricate racing on track. So we've definitely seen more cheeky passes, some more cheeky moves that weren't quite able to be done last season with the more bulky cars.
Yeah, the
right?
cars were. I mean, I'm a very new F1 watcher, or viewer.
New second, like
Okay,
second.
all right, whatever,
Anyway.
But I say that to say, like, back in the past, the cars were so small. Like, if
Yeah.
you look at the historical progression of the F1 cars, they progressively get wider and wider and wider.
Exactly.
And some of the tracks that are on like streets,
Yeah,
specifically
the
the
street
street
circuits.
circuits.
Yeah.
Those are really scary to watch, especially with those bigger cars,
Yeah,
because
100%.
of how tight the turns are, how skinny the lanes are, and like you can't really pass in a bulky car like that.
Exactly.
And so
yeah.
that's really interesting that the cars are a little smaller. So we will
Yeah.
probably see, not saying that Miami will see that, but like
Yeah,
when
but we'll
those
see a
later
lot
on,
more of those
yeah.
intricate passes and a little bit more skill-based passes in tight corners and tight spaces for sure. I think the action level has definitely increased in that regard. But yeah, I think at times it has been disappointing to see racers essentially be on a full flat straightaway and then be like, they run out of battery, and then they're losing pace on a straightaway where they should still be pushing and still gaining speed, or that sort of thing. So yeah, I can hear both sides of the argument. I do think the smaller, sleeker cars are having a good effect on the racing, and yeah, I just really hope that eventually we'll see some other teams kind of close the gap to Mercedes, so that we don't just have one team out in front like McLaren last year. And, we do like when there's a little bit of a battle, a little bit of rivalry, and also when there's a little bit of mixture in who's winning the races.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I just feel like it gets really boring when you know who's gonna win the race. It doesn't really make it like exciting or fun to watch. When you're just watching, you're like, all right, they're 25 seconds ahead of everyone, so
sometimes
they
it
can
gets
pit
a little
and
crazy.
nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
So
I think like what we really want to see, really teams relying on their strategy being the difference that can make or break places in the race. Also, like the pit crew, like pitting, obviously timing your pits is also exceptionally important, and making sure the pit crew is on their shit for the day and get the pit stops done quickly. And so I say that to say, like, those are the types of elements that we would rather see make or break the race, because then it'll be a lot closer and a lot more of an integral battle. So we'll see if the sprint race brings that. I hope it will, because it's a shortened, obviously condensed race. There's always qualifying, obviously, so qualifying always stems a chance to potentially mix things up in terms of the order. And then finally we'll just see what happens. Obviously there are mistakes that happen in races.
True.
Miami, we know the South, especially in Miami, it rains like once a day. So weather might become an integral factor as well. Yeah, I mean, storms blow into Miami all the time.
That's so true.
So I think there is a lot of potential for this weekend, and I'm just excited to see the racing, see some action, see a lot of passing, see Lewis Hamilton near the top of the pack. That's always what I want to see, and I'm just excited for a good race weekend. So we'll have to stay tuned, and we'll be making videos along the way.
Absolutely.
See how it goes. So those are our thoughts on this upcoming F1 weekend in Miami.
If you made it this far, thanks for watching,
and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks.